Hey, I'm back. It is episode 40 now. We have officially hit 40 parts to this. Last time there was a discussion on classic horror literature with the likes of Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde, and Frankenstein making a, well, reference. Not an actual appearance in the game, but a reference in there. And then we had a spin the bottle minigame, which I just came back from doing. I found out OBS was causing a tiny bit of lag to make the spinner go insanely fast. But we're back now. Spirit is your true match. Just this morning, you were waking up on a strange beach, surrounded by strangers with murderous intent. Now you're looking across the beach towel. That spirit, lust in her eyes, sight glistening on her skin. Your heart races. You can feel your pulse pounding in your ears. Spirit takes you by the hand, and you sit face to face at a private section of the bar. For some reason, this doesn't strike me as feeling fully romantic, but it's something. And hang on a sec, I'll be back. Alright, I was just getting a screenshot real quick. Anyways, she begins to reach for you, putting her hands on your shoulders. You're sweating, but not in the sexy way she is. You're sweating in the gross way you'd sweat at the interview for a job you're not even remotely qualified for. You don't know what to do. If you try to lock lips in the state, you might gross her out so completely that she'll never be able to look at you romantically again. Spirit, I, you, we. I have some bad news for you. I have something in my teeth, don't I? I think it might be seaweed. I have no idea how long I was in that ocean. No, well, maybe, but that's not what I was going to say. It's not happening. Not now. Maybe not ever. If they think I'm going to make out with some stranger just because a booze bottle told me to, they've got another thing coming. And so do you, namely a katana, into your heart. Have you ever tried to make a move under such absurd circumstances? I wasn't gonna. Yeah, I know. You seem pretty harmless. And not at all that bad to kiss. If I were interested, which I'm not at this moment in time. Are we going to tell them we kiss? We are. I'm not above lying to get what I want. So that thing about me being not that bad to kiss, was that a lie? To get me to play along? If you want to know the truth, figure it out for yourself. But don't expect this life to just hand you gifts like me. All I was ever handed was pain and suffering. Fair enough, considering her backstory. Treat me well and I'll return the favor. Otherwise, try a different route and see what happens. I hate to break up your passionate moment. That we only assume was passionate because we'd never spy on you constantly while you stay on this island. I just imagined they were both just like... I just imagined they were both just like laying over the counter, staring down at you two, just waiting to see it happen. I swear. Okay, this is the dinner event. Hang on. Alright, I'm back. We're just after the dinner event. We wake up to find Spirit holding our limp body, gingerly pouring cool water into our mouth. Don't you just love the ocean at night? I do. Staring out over the vast darkness of the ocean really validates the feelings inside me, that we're all truly insignificant, and the only thing worth pursuing is revenge. I have to wonder, how could anyone believe anything else? You look out into the darkness of night and ponder her question. Well, it's a simple question. How could they? How could anyone not feel small and alone in the face of such massive nothingness? I don't know what to say here. If I say you've always been alone, I feel like that's insulting her. But I feel like if I say you found someone special, she might just be like, ugh. I'm gonna try it anyway. I used to feel that way. Small, unimportant, alone. But lately I'm not so sure. I've started to feel different. I've started to actually think that maybe this island is where I might meet someone special. You look at Spirit, who has turned from the ocean to look at you while you speak on this topic she's clearly so passionate about. A friend, perhaps something more. I don't know what this island has planned for me. Huh, a friend? Friends are just cowards who seek comfort in numbers. I knew it. I should have gone for the other one. I had friends once, back before I was chopped into a bunch of pieces by my father. Friends aren't what's keeping me held together. I'm floating in a cloud of rage. Oh, God. I swear. I was so dumb, so busy trying to please everyone and be the perfect student, perfect employee, perfect daughter. I didn't take care of myself, and now I'm all I've got. Okay, I might be totally forgetting something, but what I remember from her bio in Dead by Daylight was that her occupation, so to speak, at the time of her death was just that of a student, meaning she didn't actually work just yet, but she was studying and trying to keep her grades up. And then her father just went crazy. But maybe I'm remembering something wrong. Worst of all, I get distracted from my true purpose, my destiny, the purpose that was sitting inside me my whole life. Okay, so this might sound a bit silly, but Spirit looks around to see if there's anyone else on the beach. When she's convinced that it's only you two, she continues. There's a dragon that lives inside me. I've always known, but I've tried to ignore it. When I couldn't ignore it, I tried to push it down. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid, that sounds bad at... Right? But I didn't let it out, and then I, chop chop. And now that dragon is pretty much a one-track revenge beast. I mean, this is funny, but hang on. I want to go back and get the correct answer for this scene. It bothers me. So, I'm back at the point where I made the wrong choice. And this time, I'm gonna make the right one. You've always been alone. Maybe if Spirit's word, maybe it's Spirit's words, maybe it's the ocean, or maybe it's always been this way, but you suddenly feel connected to Spirit's words. I may not remember much about my life before, but there's one thing I know to be true. I've always been alone. And I always will be alone. Okay. The Spirit has turned from looking at the ocean and is looking directly at you now. It's a funny idea, isn't it? Being alone. Together. It's the best we can hope for. Maybe. Or maybe it's too much to hope for. Maybe it's impossible to pretend we know anything. Is that just ignorance? That is the first crying image I've seen of her. Hang on. I've got a better idea for the thumbnail for this video now. Okay, I'm back. But, those lines they shared about being alone together, I feel like they're from a movie, but my mind can't place what movie it is I'm thinking of. Or maybe I'm just going crazy and my mind's latching onto anything. Sit down. Okay. Sit. Okay, but enough about me. What's inside of you, stranger? Oh, this is definitely gonna be a choice. I'm gonna save here just in case I make another wrong choice. Okay. Let's save in the separate slot so that way, just in case, because it tends to auto-save when you get to a new section of the story. And it auto-saves over the last file you saved over. Which is both kind of neat and kind of odd, in an annoying kind of way. No dragon, just a lot of fire, or nothing but darkness. Both of these are great answers, but I'm gonna go with nothing but darkness. Just because I like it more. I'd kill that dragon. Maybe not the best choice of words. I mean, a dragon sounds awesome. Honestly though, I don't feel like I've got anything inside me at all. Just darkness. Never-ending darkness. And here I thought Spirit was the biggest goth on the island. Until you were. Thank you, I'm trying to play into it. Perhaps I could light a torch and search through that darkness. Spirit. This is feeling just like when I started playing the Huntress Path, and it just got really romantic by like the second event. Just as things are really heating up, you hear a flurry of footsteps behind you. You quickly spin around, ready to fend off whatever new danger has popped up on this strange island. Is it weird that I imagine the player character readying up like freaking Noromaru from Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter? Only to find Dwight and Claudette sprinting across the beach, clipboards in hand. So I believe this is another basic scene, so I'll skip through this off camera, and then I'll get back to you when there's a new scene. See you in a bit. Welcome back. Hang on a sec. I gotta check something. Okay, it's nothing. Sorry about that. Anyways, we're at the story time event. I was looking at the OBS, and I'm not sure if that implied that I spiked on the mic or not. That'll be a fun thing to hear later on. But anyways, it's time to hear Spirit's story. I choose you, Spirit. Really? You wanna hear from me? The Spirit huffs and dramatically rolls her eyes as she gets to her feet in front of the campfire. Well, you don't have to stand up if you don't want to. You can tell the story sitting down. Don't let her talk you out of it. She's great with ghost stories. I don't know where she gets it, but she comes up with the scariest stuff. Seriously, disturbing, even to me, and I literally pulled the guy's skull and spine out once with my bare hands. Talk about BS stories. If everyone else is going to chit-chat, I guess I can just sit down and... I like how both Huntress and Wraith's face change for that one, but freaking Trapper's barely changes. Huntress's eyes go red behind her mask, and both Trapper and Wraith take their seat. They know when it's worth fighting and when it's not. Oh god. So she genuinely seems to scare Trapper. That's a first. Okay. I'm ready to hear your story, Spirit. I'm looking to be impressed by you. Well, I hate to break it to you, but tonight's story isn't scary. It's a romance. Too late now, though. I was selected, and so I'm going to tell my story. I call it The Prisoner's Kiss. You notice that Huntress and Wraith are both sharing a giant tub of popcorn. Nobody offered you popcorn. Where did they even get the popcorn from? It was a dark summer night. Warm rain seeped from the sky like blood from an old wound. Detective Hada, a celebrated investigator and renowned hostage negotiator, was called to the scene of a strange occurrence, unlike anything she had ever seen before. When she arrived, the scene was chaotic. Crowds had begun to gather. A dozen other officers were doing everything they could to keep curious onlookers away. But how could anyone resist wanting to know more? For there, in the middle of a busy market, had appeared a giant box, strange, alien in its appearance, and massive in size. Okay, I'm a bit interested. No one knew how it got there. Was it delivered, built on site, in such a busy area? How could something like this just appear? It's a mystery. It was as if conjured by magic. Oh man. There was another event that was actually like this in real life, where something appeared in like a busy section of town one night. Nobody knew how it got there because nobody saw anyone who moved it clearly, and basically it was just a massive mystery as to whether it was assembled on site, which would have taken a while, which you think someone would have seen him if it was, or someone dragged it there from somewhere else, which also probably would have taken a while. Anyways, I'm getting back to the spirit story. But this was no illusion. The huge box was very real, and someone was trapped inside. The spirit pauses her story to look from face to face of each audience member. She has no expression, but you feel her vibrating with energy. She's in her element. "Help me," cried someone inside the box. It was a man, terrified, trapped, imprisoned, his voice trembling. By now, it was as if every detective in the city was there, looking this strange structure up and down, inspecting it on every side. It didn't make sense. There were no doors, no windows, no fasteners or seams. It was completely solid and much too heavy to move by hand. Solid, that is, except for a single, small slit, just enough to see the bloodshot eyes of the prisoner trapped inside. I don't know what happened. I woke up, and here I was. "I'm so scared. Please help me," cried the man, as if pleading for his life. No stranger to tense situations, Detective Hara comforted the man. She used her training to calm him and buy time for the other investigators. However, time did not bring clarity, only anxiety, as the night dragged on with no progress opening the box. And as the night grew longer, the seeping rain puddling on the ground, the man inside grew more desperate, more sad and lonely, more pathetic and in need of help. Detective Hada was no help at all. Powerless to save him, guilt began to weigh on her, like it never had before. "Don't let me die in here," the man begged. "Don't let me die alone." "Stay calm," instructed Detective Hada. "You're not alone. I'm here. Hal, half the town is here. We're all in this together, and we won't let this be the end of your story." Looking through the narrowest of passageways, Detective Hada watched her own reflection in the tear-filled eyes of the stranger, sad prisoner. Together, they both wept in silence as the hopelessness of the moment. "Promise?" asked the man. "Promise that I'm not alone?" "Yes," she promised. "I do." A simple pledge. She felt an instant connection like she had never felt before. Not to her own family, not to her friends, not to any of the other hostages she had worked so hard to free before. And so when the man's eyes closed and backed away, it didn't scare Detective Hada, for after she knew he would return, and he did, pressing his lips up to the narrow slit in this horrible puzzle box, repeating his question again, steam flowing from his mouth as he asked, "Promise. Promise that I'm not alone." "Yes," she promised. "I do," pressing her palms against the cold outside of the box. Detective Hada leaned forward and placed her own lips up to the opening, letting her breath creep into the strange structure, allowing her warm lips to fall on this man's. It was a gentle kiss, a moment of compassion. She could feel in this brief contact the breathing and the beating of her heart, pulsing blood through every inch of her body, matched beat for beat in this soft touch. "Thank you," said the man, no trace of fear remaining in his voice, and he backed away into the darkness, disappearing in a single moment of eerie calmness. "Get back!" yelled an officer, suddenly thrusting himself between Detective Hada and the box, breaking a silence that would soon be filled by a cacophony of whirring gears and clicking latches. a symphony of mechanical activity happening all at once. Something had triggered, as if an unseen lever had been pulled, and the side of the giant box began to slide open. Detective Hara gripped her flashlight tightly and pushed forward into the foggy interior of the giant box. Her feet splashed in the puddled rainwater. Her heart racing, she swept her light from side to side. And that's when her eyes landed on the man, or at least landed on what should have been him. There, in the corner of the box, was a pile of pieces, like parts of a doll, almost pulled apart, or perhaps that's just how Detective Hara had to think of him in that moment to survive. A collection of segments, limbs, pieces, disconnected from one another, cleanly severed and placed in a neat little pile. And atop that pile, a head, cold, pale, eyes open, lips an icy blue. Spirit stares at the fire, her own expression lifeless, her lips blue. Tears fall from her chin and soak into the sand at her feet. You're blown away by the story, and it's safe to say you're not alone. Everyone else is looking into the fire, or up at the sky, anywhere but at Spirit. But you who chose her, you who initiated this harrowing tale, so sad, so creepy, so sensual. She really went into great detail when it came to describing the kiss. Too much detail, and now no one is sure how to act. Dwight and Claudette stare daggers at you. You have to do something. This game was supposed to be a lighthearted romp. Please, I said, do something. I'm gonna save here. Gotta save twice to make sure that I have one ready at the option beforehand. But let's see what we have in store. Say nothing. Hug her. Cool story. Stand up and try to start one of the slow class. I feel like doing one of those slow claps would kind of annoy her. Cool story feels like it's sort of around the same thing. I'm gonna see if hugging her is the right option. You stand and without saying anything, approach Spirit, reaching your arms around her for a hug. Her robe, hovering in the air, begins to wrap itself around you and squeeze into her. It's kind of like being hugged back, but also like being tied up. Certainly not what you expected. Instinctually, you pull yourself away, but it's an awkward movement, and you nearly fall over into the fire. Spirit says nothing and floats away without so much as a goodbye. You, meanwhile, realize everyone has just watched this truly strange interaction from the corner of their eyes. On that note, everyone decides it's time to take a break and split up for a little bit, so they can all have a moment alone before bed. But that's where I'll call it for today. This is just going to be a short episode. But I'll see you next time. Bye.